Yesterday, a 47-year-old man stood on his balcony at 4:47 a.m., tears streaming down his face. Not from sadness, from rage, pure volcanic rage at how small his life had become, at how every morning felt like drowning in quicksand made of other people's expectations. His name was Marcus, and he sent me a message that simply said, "I'm tired of being everyone's doormat while pretending I'm fine." Marcus isn't alone. You're not alone. Somewhere between childhood dreams and adult responsibilities, we lost something sacred. We lost our mental sovereignty. We became professional victims in our own stories, collecting wounds like trophies, wearing our exhaustion like badges of honor. We scroll through motivational quotes while our souls are screaming for transformation, not information. The ancient Stoics had a word, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, not to torture themselves, but to forge unbreakable mental armor before the battles began. Seneca would mentally rehearse losing everything each morning, not from pessimism, but from power. He understood that mental invincibility isn't born from avoiding storms. It's forged by dancing with lightning before breakfast. Every morning, you're performing a ritual whether you realize it or not. You're either crowning yourself emperor of your mind or abdicating your throne to chaos. Most people wake up already defeated. Their first thought a surrender flag, another day of this. Their mental breakfast is anxiety with a side of dread, washed down with a cup of comparison to everyone who seems to have it better. What would happen if tomorrow morning, instead of negotiating with mediocrity, you declared war on your own weakness? What if you spoke 5 specific words that would electrify your neural pathways and turn your mind into a fortress that no external force could penetrate? These aren't motivational candy bars that give you a sugar high then leave you crashing. These are psychological weapons used by emperors who ruled nations while their worlds burned, by philosophers who found freedom in chains, by warriors who smiled at death. These 5 words will transform you from mentally fragile glass into psychologically bulletproof steel. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for us, but for himself. Private notes from a man battling plague, betrayal, and the weight of an empire. His secret: every dawn he rebuilt his mind with deliberate words before the world could tear it down. Right now, commit. Hit that subscribe button like your transformation depends on it. Share this with someone drowning in their own mental quicksand. Drop a like if you're ready to stop being a tourist in your own life. And don't you dare skip ahead. Each word is a piece of armor you'll need for tomorrow's battle. Declare this in the comments now. My mind is my empire. Now let's begin. Number 1. I choose. 2 words that separate slaves from sovereigns. Not slaves in chains, but slaves to alarm clocks, to opinions, to the myth that life is happening to them rather than through them. Epictetus taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we interpret and respond to them. This wasn't philosophy for him. This was survival. A slave who discovered the ultimate liberation. Choice is the last freedom no one can steal. Most people wake up speaking the language of prisoners. I have to check my phone. I need to get ready. I must deal with this. Every word bleeds power. Every sentence surrenders sovereignty. You're not living. You're serving a life sentence in a prison you built yourself. I choose rewires your entire existence. I choose to check my phone because I'm curious, not compelled. I choose this job because it's my current strategy, not my permanent sentence. I choose to feel this pain because it's carving me into something magnificent. A neurosurgeon once told me that saying, "I choose," literally lights up different regions of your brain than "I have to." One activates your prefrontal cortex, your command center. The other triggers your amygdala, your panic room. One makes you the author. The other makes you a character in someone else's story. Tomorrow morning, before the world tells you who to be, tell yourself who you are. A chooser, a decider, a sovereign being who could stay in bed but chooses to rise, who could complain but chooses to create, who could crumble but chooses to conquer. Viktor Frankl survived concentration camps by choosing his response to the unsurvivable. He discovered that between stimulus and response lies a space, and in that space lies our power to choose. That space exists every morning between opening your eyes and opening your mouth. Fill it with "I choose." Watch how differently people treat you when you radiate choice instead of obligation. Watch how problems become projects when you choose to engage them rather than endure them. Watch how your entire nervous system shifts from survival to sovereignty with two simple words. Number 2, I create. Most people wake up as consumers, consuming news, consuming problems, consuming other people's dreams on social media, while their own dreams suffocate in silence. They've forgotten the ancient truth that humans aren't meant to consume reality. We're meant to create it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in the middle of a plague that killed millions, "What we do now echoes in eternity." While bodies piled in Roman streets, while his own son plotted against him, he created, not despite the chaos, but because of it. Creation was his rebellion against entropy. I create isn't about making art or building businesses. It's about recognizing that every thought you generate, every response you craft, every emotion you sculpt is an act of creation. You're either creating your day or inheriting someone else's leftovers. You're either architecting your mood or accepting whatever emotional weather blows through your window. A janitor once told me something that rearranged my entire mental furniture. He said, "Every morning at 3 a.m. I tell myself, I create excellence. Not because I love mopping floors, but because I'm creating the cleanest damn hospital in the city. Surgeons save lives in operating rooms I've sanctified with my excellence." This man understood what PhDs miss. Creation isn't about what you do, it's about how you transmute the mundane into the magnificent. When you say, "I create," you're declaring independence from the reactive mind that most people worship. The mind that waits for inspiration, waits for permission, waits for perfect conditions that never arrive. Creating means you generate your own weather system. You don't wait for motivation, you manufacture it. You don't seek energy, you generate it. You don't find opportunities, you create them from the raw materials of whatever today throws at you. The Stoics called this amor fati, loving your fate. Not passive acceptance, but active transformation. Taking whatever life hands you and creating something beautiful from it. Your boss's criticism, raw material for creating resilience. Your financial pressure, clay for sculpting resourcefulness. Your loneliness, canvas for painting self-sufficiency. Tomorrow, before you consume a single piece of information, before you react to a single stimulus, declare, "I create." Then watch how your brain shifts from passive receiver to active transmitter. Watch how problems transform into raw materials. Watch how you stop waiting for life to happen and start creating it, moment by moment, choice by choice. Every morning you're either Michelangelo approaching marble, seeing David waiting inside, or you're a tourist in a museum admiring other people's creations. The difference? 2 words that transform you from spectator to sculptor of your own existence. Number 3. I release. While everyone else wakes up collecting tasks, collecting grievances, collecting anxiety about things that haven't happened yet, you wake up releasing. This is the most counterintuitive power move in existence. Seneca practiced what he called voluntary hardship. Once a month, he'd sleep on the floor, eat only bread, wear rags. Not masochism, psychological genius. He was practicing release before life forced it upon him. He discovered that the fear of loss enslaves more people than actual loss ever could. I release means you start each day with open hands instead of clenched fists. Release yesterday's victories before they become today's arrogance. Release yesterday's failures before they become today's identity. Release the need to control outcomes that were never yours to control. A combat veteran explained this to me with surgical precision. In war, the soldiers who die first are the ones holding too tight to plans, to fear, to the way things should be. Survival belongs to those who release and flow. Every morning now, I release my need to be right, my need to be safe, my need for people to understand me. That release doesn't make me weak, it makes me fluid, and fluid is unbreakable. The morning ritual of release is like emptying your psychological cache. All that mental RAM being used to run programs from 1994, from last week, from relationships that ended 5 years ago, released. Suddenly you have processing power you didn't know existed. Suddenly you have space for possibility. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. Every morning you're carrying judgments that weigh more than mountains. This shouldn't have happened. They should have treated me better. I deserve more. Each judgment is a chain. I release is the key that unlocks all of them simultaneously. Release the fantasy version of your life that torments you. Release the need for apologies you'll never receive. Release the addiction to being understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. Release the exhausting performance of being who everyone needs you to be. A philosopher once asked his students, "What weighs more, a ton of steel or a ton of feathers?" They laughed at the obvious answer. Then he asked, "What weighs more, a ton of steel or a ton of resentment?" The room went silent, because everyone knew resentment weighs infinitely more. It compounds, it multiplies, it metastasizes. Tomorrow morning, stand up, spread your arms wide, and say, "I release." Feel your psychological wingspan expand. Feel the freedom of not needing to be vindicated, validated, or victorious in every small battle. Release the referee mentality that keeps score of every slight. Release the prosecutor mentality building cases against everyone who failed you. Masters release. Amateurs accumulate. Which one greets tomorrow's sunrise? Number 4. I deserve. Revolutionary words that most people can't say without choking, not because of arrogance, but because of decades of programming that taught them to shrink, to apologize for existing, to accept crumbs while calling it a feast. Marcus Aurelius commanded legions, yet his private writings reveal a man constantly questioning his worthiness, until he discovered this truth. Your worth is not determined by others' recognition, but by your own recognition of your inherent value as a rational being. The Emperor of Rome had to learn what you must learn. Deserving isn't earned, it's claimed. I deserve doesn't mean entitlement to outcomes. It means recognizing your birthright to attempt, to fail magnificently, to take up space, to have needs, to set boundaries that make weak people uncomfortable. You deserve to disappoint people who need you to stay small so they can feel tall. A woman who built a multi-million-dollar company from her garage while raising 3 kids alone told me, "The morning I started saying I deserve was the morning I stopped negotiating with my own worth. I deserve rest without guilt. I deserve standards without apology. I deserve to be paid what I'm worth without explaining why I'm worth it." Listen to how most people sabotage themselves. Who am I to want more? I should be grateful for what I have. Others have it worse. This isn't humility, it's psychological self-vandalism. It's building your own glass ceiling, then complaining about the view. The Stoics understood something profound about deserving. They called it dignitas, inherent dignity that no external force could grant or remove. A slave could have more dignitas than an emperor because dignity is an inside job. You deserve respect, not because of your achievements, but because of your existence. You deserve love, not because you're perfect, but because you're human. You deserve success, not because you've suffered enough, but because you're willing to create it. When you say, "I deserve," each morning, you're performing psychological alchemy. You're transmuting years of conditioning that taught you to play small, to wait your turn, to let others cut in line while you hold their place. You're declaring independence from the voice that whispers, "Not yet, not you, not enough." A janitor becomes a judge. A dropout becomes a doctor. A victim becomes a victor. What changed? They stopped asking permission to deserve and started assuming it as biological fact. They stopped waiting for someone to knight them and picked up the sword themselves. I deserve abundance. Watch how opportunities suddenly become visible that were always there. I deserve healthy love. Watch how toxic relationships suddenly become intolerable. I deserve peace. Watch how drama suddenly becomes optional. The universe is an echo chamber. It returns what you broadcast. When you broadcast, "I don't deserve," life confirms your hypothesis with mathematical precision. When you broadcast, "I deserve," life scrambles to prove you right. Tomorrow, look yourself in the eyes and say what your younger self needed to hear. I deserve everything beautiful that I'm willing to create. Say it until your bones believe it. Say it until imposter syndrome evacuates. Say it until the part of you that's been apologizing for existing finally stands up straight. Deserving isn't arrogance, it's accuracy. You're made of the same atoms as stars. You're conscious matter contemplating itself. You're the universe experiencing itself subjectively. If that doesn't deserve magnificent things, nothing does. Number 5, I begin. The 2 most dangerous words in human language. Dangerous to mediocrity, to excuses, to the comfortable prison of someday where most dreams go to die. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." But here's what he didn't say. Most people are professional enders who never begin. They end relationships, end jobs, end habits, but they never master the art of beginning. They're experts at closure, amateurs at genesis. I begin is resurrection language. It's what you say when yesterday's version of you has died, but today's version refuses to attend the funeral. It's what you say when your past is begging you to stay, but your future is demanding you to move. A homeless man who became a millionaire told me, "For 3 years I woke up on concrete saying I begin, not I continue, because continuing meant accepting the trajectory. I begin meant every morning I was born again, fresh scorecard, new game, different player." Beginning isn't about January 1st or Monday morning or after you've healed or when you're ready. Beginning is a decision you make while bleeding. It's starting the novel mid-sentence. It's launching the business mid-crisis. It's choosing love mid-heartbreak. Beginning doesn't wait for perfect conditions, because perfect conditions are procrastination's favorite disguise. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio futuri, premeditation of the future. Not planning, but beginning. They would mentally start their day before physically starting it. They understood that beginning happens in consciousness before it happens in reality. Every empire, every philosophy, every transformation began in someone's mind at dawn with two words: I begin. Most people wake up continuing conversations from 1987, continuing patterns that stopped serving them in middle school, continuing to be who they were yesterday, because beginning to be who they could be today requires a courage they've buried under comfort. I begin murders the myth of momentum. You don't need momentum to begin. Beginning creates momentum. You don't need confidence to begin. Beginning creates confidence. You don't need clarity to begin. Beginning creates clarity. Beginning is the cause, not the effect. An artist who hadn't painted in 20 years after her daughter's death sent me a photo of a canvas covered in violent, beautiful chaos. The caption, "This morning I said I begin, and my hands remembered how to hold a brush." She didn't wait for inspiration. She began, and inspiration came running to catch up. When you say, "I begin tomorrow morning," you're not just starting a day. You're starting a revolution. You're declaring that your past doesn't own you, your patterns don't define you, your pain doesn't control you. You're announcing to every cell in your body that we're doing something different now. Beginning is the ultimate act of self-respect. It says, I refuse to be a rerun. I refuse to be predictable, even to myself. I refuse to let yesterday's blueprint dictate today's architecture. The graveyard is full of people who were about to begin, who were waiting for the right time, the right feeling, the right permission. They died with their beginning still inside them, perfectly preserved, completely useless. Tomorrow, wake up dangerous. Wake up as someone who begins things that scare you. Begin the conversation you've been avoiding. Begin the project that might fail. Begin the life that doesn't make sense to anyone but you. Declare your revolution. Today, I begin again. 5 words, 5 daily declarations that transform you from mentally touchable to psychologically invincible. Not through denial of reality, but through dominion over your response to it. I choose, reclaiming your sovereignty from circumstance. I create, becoming cause instead of effect. I release, dropping weight to gain flight. I deserve, claiming your birthright to magnificence. I begin, murdering yesterday's limitations. Marcus Aurelius died standing up. Think about that. Even death couldn't make him bow. That's what these 5 words build, a mind that stands up to anything, including its own fears, doubts, and historical patterns. Tomorrow morning you'll wake up. That's inevitable. But who wakes up is your choice. The same person who's been waking up for years, or someone unrecognizable, someone untouchable, someone who speaks these 5 words like spells that remake reality. Your transformation isn't a 10-year plan. It's a tomorrow morning decision. 5 words away, 5 declarations from freedom. If this hit your soul, not just your ears, share it now. Subscribe. Comment below which word scares you most. That's the one you need most. Final declaration. Type it like your life depends on it. Tomorrow, I become untouchable.